This conference will now be recorded.
So, in the last class, we have discussed about the rate statements and what are the new things on your rate statements, and then
This conference will now be recorded.
so guys, can you able to hear me? Can you please confirm that? Lakshmi, Sai, Ashwini, can you able to hear me? Okay, I'm assuming that you can able to hear me. So let's get started with our today's session. So let me open my paint window. In the last class, we have seen about the read statements using using conditions we have seen, and we have seen using the index, and we have seen the line index, the line exists, and we have seen something called as you are getting this single field from the internal table based on the conditions. So this is what we have seen in your last class. So by this we have completed the entire read statement syntaxes. What are the new syntaxes that has been evolved on your read? So it has been completed. But remember, I have already told you yesterday. Remember that SAP uses the linear search by default. Linear search by default whenever we are getting the data. So when we are using the read statement, by default, SAP uses the linear search technology only. If I want to use the binary search, if I want to use the binary search, then we need to convert the table into sorted internal table. We need to convert the table into your sorted internal table. Then only you can able to do that. In order into sorted internal table, we need to, what we need to do, we need to create So it was an office urgent call. So now, as we are telling you, so as I told you, in case of the new rich statement, SAP uses the linear search concept. Whereas in case of if you want to convert and ask SAP to do a binary search for your new syntax, you need to create a sorted internal table. We need to create this. We need to convert the internal table into sorted. So we need to create the types declarations and your data declaration of sorted internal table type. Sorted internal table type. So this is all about your rich statement. Now, the next syntax which we are going to see is how to find the number of records, in the internal table. What is the whole syntax, guys? So we will be using something called as described lines. So we will be using something called as described table, and you will be providing your internal table and you will be writing lines, and if you want you can use the inline declaration gv underscore your lines. So this is what the inline declaration to fetch the number of records from the internal table, the number of records. So how many number of records are there in the internal table? We can able to get that with the help of this syntax. Let's go ahead and see an example program for this. Let me log on to SC38 and then I'll be opening my program and just say click on change. One second, I don't know why. Okay, so in the same way, let's see the new syntax before it's logging in. Let's see the new syntax for getting the data. So the new syntax is we will be defining a variable. So whatever the variable we want, we will just go ahead and define the variable, and we have to use a keyword called as lines. You have to use a keyword called as your lines and just provide your internal table. It will work as the same way how you will be writing with your described table. So we will be using this one, the lines of your internal table. The lines of your internal table is what we are going to use. Okay, so let's see this. So now I'm going to get the details. Let's say I'm just removing my up to 100 rows. Now what I will do, I'll go ahead and say find out the number of rows in my internal table. Find out the number of rows, number of records or rows in the internal table, number of records in my internal table. So for this, what I will say, will be saying describe table. So what is my table? GT underscore Mara lines, and I'm going to say data of GV underscore your lines. So this is what you need to do. So in your old syntax, what you will be doing before your inline declaration, you will be writing data GV underscore lines type, and we will be writing it as int4 or int2 or int8, and that you will be pausing it. Now you don't need to do that. So as we came up with an inline, you can directly write your data declarations in line. Now once we are done with this, I'm going to say write the number of records, in the internal table, I would say comma, and I'm going to say it as gv underscore your lines. Now this is what your thing is. Now how to write using the new syntax? How to fetch the number of records using the new syntax. Using the new syntax. For this, we will be writing, you have to declare your variable first. So gv underscore lines 1 is equal to lines of and I would be saying gt underscore your mara gt underscore your mara. So that's it. So now I'll just say copy the same line and I'm going to paste it over here and I'm going to say gv lines 1. Now I'll go ahead and activate this one. Now I'll go ahead and activate this one. Now instead of declaring this variable also, we can directly write this statement in your command, or wherever you want to write that statement, you can go ahead and write that statement. I'll be showing you that too. So once we click on execute and once we see the output, whether the same output is coming or not, then I'll show you that one. So that is what the advantage is. See here, 21,647 records are there. Now what I am doing here I am trying to create a variable, and from this variable I am using this. Now you don't need to create your variable when you are using your new syntax. You just say, instead of this, I can say lines of, and I can say gt underscore your mara. That's it, we are done. So if I say activate this code, the output will be the same. So now see how many data declarations we are trying to reduce in your new syntaxes. SAP uses the internal memory. SAP uses the internal memory and it will go ahead and it will go ahead and show you your output. It will go ahead and show you your output. Okay. So now I will say click on continue this one. Now if I go ahead and execute this report, see the output will be the same. See, this is the advantage when we are going ahead with your new syntaxes. You don't need to create your variables too. So that's the advantage. In inline declarations, you have to declare your variables for each and every syntax. But when you are using the new ABAP syntaxes, you don't need to declare your variables too. You don't need to declare your variables. So this is what the new syntax for getting the data, for getting the number of rows of an internal table. Now, the next one, what we are going to see. So how to add the records to the internal table. So that means I have an internal table. Let's take for example, we are filling, we want to create a sales order. We want to create a sales order using ABAP. So what you have to do, so for whatever the details, we will fill manually. We will fill manually and we will send this data to the BAPI to create the sales order in SAP, right? So now how you are filling, so this you are filling manually. So what is the syntaxes you will be using? You will be using a syntaxes called as your open SQL. What are the syntaxes? Append, insert, modify and delete. So now every record you will be looping it and you will be appending those records. Every report you will be looping it and you will be appending those records. Now instead of this one, so for this, in order to do your append, so what we need? We need to create a work area. So that means this work area we have to create it, and we have to pass the details to the work area and we will append, right? So this is what we will be doing in case of your open SQL command. Now in SAP, now in the new syntax, we don't need to create a work area. We don't need to create a work area. Instead, we will use the value hash command. Now, the new open SQL statements are, if I say with the new open SQL statements, the new open SQL statement. So we will be writing append value hash, and you have to fill your work area details. That means whatever the field 1 is equal to the value 1, comma, field 2 is equal to value 2, comma, field 3 is equal to value 3, field 3 equal to value 3 into, and you will be providing your internal table. You will be providing your internal table. So this is what you will be doing it. Now in case of insert, also the same command. So we will be writing value hash and you will be providing your respective fields into internal table, and you will be using index, whatever the index you want to upload, the index number. The index number is what you are going to get this. Now the next thing we will be seeing is called as your modify. So the modify will also the same thing. Modify the value hash command and modify table, internal table from value hash command. From your value hash command, and you will be writing your transporting whatever you want. So here, this work area, we are creating it dynamically. This work area, we are going to create this work area dynamically. So this dynamic creation. So dynamic creation. So this is what you need to know. See, in the outs, I mean, if you are learning on your own, people mostly will say that inline declarations are the new syntaxes, what they will be assuming, but not. So inline declarations are SAP that has been provided not to declare at the top. You can declare directly when you are writing your code. Now, the SAP newer versions, what SAP is saying, go ahead and reduce how many variables you want. How many variables, how much code you want, you can reduce that much amount of your code. That much amount of your code, you have to reduce that. So now that much amount of declaration. So use the global SAP memory. So you go ahead and use my memory, my application layer memory, and try to fetch your details, whatever you want, instead of storing that in your variables. Instead of storing that in your variables, try to fetch the details from my end. But the disadvantage for this is, the major disadvantage, what you guys will be seeing is, the disadvantage, what you guys will be seeing is, so we can't able to debug because see, this value is fine, but we are going to see one more new syntax where you can manually pass the values of how many you want. We can't able to debug this because when we click on F5, at 5, or else I can say it's like as an F6 command only. It's like as an F6 command. I'll go you and show you that one also in your debugging too. F6 command. That means if you have a subroutine, when you say F6, what will happen? It will execute the subroutine, right? It will execute the subroutine. The same thing here also it will happen. The same thing here also it will happen when you click on either F5 or F6. F6 both are the same. Both are the same in case of the new syntax. In case of new syntax, the major thing is you have to understand your code. You need to understand. You need to understand the code. So then only you can able to get those values. Then only you can able to get all the necessary things what you needed. Okay, so you have to understand. It's not like a simple like single record statements updating and all these things. No, it won't be not like that. Okay, so you have to understand your code. Now let's go ahead and see how to work with your internal tables. So now internal tables. So in this, what we are going to cover, how to add the records manually, and then how to use the open SQL statements. So, and then we are going to see how to add the records manually using a base command. So you will be seeing something called as a base command. This is most important interview question, guys. So what is meant by the base and when you are going to use your base command? The next one is how to move the data from one internal table to another internal table. How to move your data from one internal table to your another internal table. So this is what we are going to see in case of your internal tables. Okay. Okay. So now let's go ahead and see how to add the records. The first one, how to add the records manually. So now, in order to add your records manually, let's take the same thing. I'm just going to clear GT underscore Mara and remember this refresh. So you might be knowing that refresh. What is this? What is meant by the refresh? This is used to remove the data from the internal table. This is used to remove the data from your internal table. Now, in SAP newer version, SAP 740 onwards, this statement is obsolete. This statement is obsolete. Now, how to remove the contents from your internal table? Then, how to remove the contents from the internal table? We will be using the clear command only. So clear, right now it is used to remove the contents from work area as well as your internal table. Remember this command too. So mostly I'll always use the clear statement when I'm going to clear the contents of my internal table. As I'm doing this, so I just told you this syntax too. Okay. Now how to add your records. So how you will be adding, so what you will be doing, so you have in old style, what you will be doing. If I want to add 10 records, if I want to add 10 records, what you will be doing in the old style, what you will be doing, you need to have your work area. So you will be having your work area, and then what you will be doing, work area or else gs underscore mara hyphen mat nr is equal to, let's say, 1, and then gs underscore mara hyphen, what are the fields I do have? Let me go up and let me get the fields what I have. I'll just copy this one. I'll just paste it. Done. So GS underscore Mara hyphen ERSDA. I'm just going to say 2023, 03 and 21. And like this, you will be going and filling this. GS underscore Mara hyphen ERNAM site uname. And then what you will be doing, GS underscore Mara hyphen MTART is equal to, let's take ROH material type, and GS underscore Mara hyphen MATKL material group, let's take this as C, and GS underscore Mara hyphen MBRSH is equal to, let's take it as MBRSH material group. So this is material group. So 001 and material group, material industry sector is chemicals. Now what you will be writing, append GS underscore Mara to GT underscore your Mara. So this is how you will be writing, and then you will be writing your clear GS underscore Mara, and you will be proceeding with your second, right? You will be proceeding with your second record, or if it is there in your loop, the same loop is going to be added. Now what I told you, these syntaxes, so now this variable I don't need to create this variable I don't need to create this. How I will be doing it? So I'll just say append value hash. So if you know your work area, provide your work. If you know your, so what you can, if you know your data element, or if you know your SE11 structure or table, you can just provide that. If you doesn't know, just provide it as hash, value hash. And then what I will do, I'll just copy from here, Alt Shift right arrow and down arrow. I'll just copy this one and I'm just going to paste it over here. So now remove this one. I'm just going to say site datum, and then I'm going to remove this one, uname, ROH, material group, this one, and just pay into, to my GT underscore Mara. That's it. Now when I do my pretty printer, now it will be the same. Now if I want to add one more record, now you don't need to have your work area. Just copy this one and do your paste and go ahead and change this one. So 2. Now I'll say the third record, the 3, the third record. So like this. So this is how. Now if I go ahead and say display CL underscore demo underscore output, and I'm going to say display, and I'm going to use my GT underscore Mara. This is only for your display purpose, but you should not use that in your real time. Do your pretty printer, let's activate your code, and there is an issue. MTART, and see here this one is also MTART. Now go ahead and check this, no issues. MTART. Oh, okay, there is one more field, MTART. Now check this, no issues, and let's activate your code. Let me click on execute. See here, the 3 records what you have added has been came up. So this is how you have to do it in case of your, what I mean to say, the append syntaxes. Now this is manually you are adding record by record. Now can I add multiple records? So my requirement is, can I add multiple records in one single go? In one single go, can I add multiple records? So that means I don't want to use these append statements. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. So how you have to do it? To achieve this, To achieve this, we need to write the code in the following manner. We need to write the code in your following manner. So how you have to write? So I'll just say GT underscore Mara. So whatever the variable, whatever the internal table you want to have, you can just provide that is equal to value hash. So if you know your data element, you can just provide this and then open your square brackets. Sorry, open your circular brackets first 2 times. And now fill the first record. Fill your first record and close this bracket. And again open your bracket one more time and say fill this second record. So close this. Now again open your bracket, fill the third record. So close this. Like this, you can proceed to add the records at the last, close this bracket for this bracket. So for this bracket, this is the closing. For this bracket, this is a closing, and for this bracket, this is your closing. Okay, so this is what we will be doing it in case of your multiple, in case of your records to add manually. So now how can you do that? So now GT underscore Mara is equal to value hash, and I'll just say copy this entire one. Copy this entire one. I'll just go ahead and change the values to 4. My first record is completed. So now do your pretty printer formatting. You have to do it manually. So if I click on pretty printer also, it won't work. I'll show you for my last record. You have to do your pretty printer manually so that the other persons can able to understand very clearly. Okay, now the first record I have created it. Now I'm going with my second record. Now I'm going with my third record. Now I'm going with my fourth record. So like this, you can go ahead and add your n number of records. So 4, 5, 6, and your 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now once it is done, I'm just using my demo output. Now if I say, let's say if I write like this, and if I say pretty printer, see here, the pretty printer will not work. Sorry, full stop is there. If I say pretty printer, see here, the pretty printer will not work in case of these statements. You have to manually work with, you have to manually do your alignments. Remember this one. You have to do your alignments. Now activate this code. Now if I come here and put a breakpoint, and let's get executed your code, your debugging will start. Now, if I say GT Mara, currently how many records I have added with this append statement? 3 records I have added. Now, after this, I want to add 4 records. Now, if I say F5, see here, now the GT record will be having your 4 records. The first 3 records will be gone. The first 3 records will be gone. Now, I want to have my first 3 records as it is, and then I want to add my 4th record. I want to have my first 3 records as it is, and I want to add my 4th record. How can you do that? So that is possible with the help of your base command. That is possible with the help of your base command. So now when you're using this new syntax, see, I just clicked on F5, all my 4 records has been added to my internal table automatically. All my 4 records. I didn't see record by record, record by record, record by record, but there is an option to do that with the help of your step size. There is an option to do that with the help of your step size. Now if I go here and if I say go to your statement, and if I say click on step size, debugger incremented change to line/statements. So now if I say F5, it has done this. Okay, let's go ahead and see the other way around. It has to do this, but one second. I'll check this. So here it is not working, but we will go ahead and configure your step size. So once you have done your step size, it will go ahead and do that with the help of your step incrementation. The step incrementation. Now see here, this 4 records has been came up. Now I want my 3 existing records as it is. I want my 3 existing records as it is, and then I want to add this 4 records. Then I want to add this 4 records. So how can you do that? In order to achieve that one, we need to use a command called as the base. So what is meant by this base command? The base command. This is used to keep the internal table. This is used to keep the internal table as is, and the new records will be gets updated. The new records will be gets added at the last. At the last, those 2 records will be gets added. So this is called as your base statement. So this is used to keep the internal table record as is, and it will go ahead and add the new records at your last. So now how can you do that? So now I'll just say here, before we providing this, you need to provide your base and you just need to provide your internal table. That's it. So this is what we will be using in your real time. Now 3D printer, the same thing, and let's activate this code. Now when I click on execute, now see here how many records are there in my GT Mara? 3. And then if I say F5, see it has added with your 7 records. It has added with your 7 records. If I say F8, now see here your 7 records has been came up. So this is what you have to do it in case of your base statement. So usually we will be using this syntax inside your loop and end loop when you want to fill your internal table. When you want to fill your internal table, then you will be using. But if you are going with this syntax, that is fine because you are using your SQL commands. But here we are directly inserting. We are directly inserting, so it will override on the existing values. But if I don't want to be gets override on my existing values, then you will be using this base command. Then you will be using this base command. This is how you will be filling the records manually in your internal table. So the next thing is we are going to see how to, so this one, how to use your OpenSQL. We have seen how to add the records manually and using your base command we have seen. And in tomorrow's class, we are going to see how to move the data from one internal table to another internal table. How to move the records from one internal table to another internal table. We are going to see this. So in old style, what you will be writing? You will be writing append lines of. Lines of, you will be doing this, but in new style you do have direct multiplication. Directly you can pass it. If I say itab1 is equal to itab2, itab1 equal to itab2. Now whatever the values which are there in my itab2, it will go ahead and sit in your itab1. But this is moving of your data. This is moving of your data. So this we can use it in old style and the new style. But if I want to keep the data as it is and I want to add it, then you will be using this append lines of. Then you will be using this append lines of. Now I don't want to use that. I don't want to use this append lines of. We do have a new syntax for that. That we are going to check it in your tomorrow's session. So that's the end of today's session. Before I sign off, any questions, Lakshmi and Ashni? Any questions? Any questions?
No, Rakesh.
So you are getting the points right. So it's clear, or if it is going too fast, do let me know. I can slow down the thing. If it is going too slow, also do let me know. If you want, I can just speed up the things too. It's all depends upon you guys. The pitch is okay, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's all for today. And in the same way, we are going to see the next things, how to use this inside your for loop, all these things we are going to see in your upcoming sessions. Okay, so tomorrow I know it's Ugadi, but you do have your session from 8 to 9 o'clock. You do have your session. So as I told you, I will be not available on 24th and 27th. Sorry, I will be not available on 27th and 28th. So because of for that reason, I'm going to take the class for tomorrow, or else I'll give you a holiday. So 27 and 28 I won't be available. So for that reason, I'm going to give you a holiday. So that's the reason I'm going to take the class on tomorrow's session. So do let me know if you have any questions. So I'm always be available for you guys. So I'm just posting my number. If you have any questions related with your real time also, you can just ping me and you can ask me, you can buzz me, but before 6 p.m. Before 6 p.m. I can able to take up your calls. After that, you can just WhatsApp me because after 6 p.m. I'll engaging with my meetings and everything till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's the reason. So WhatsApp me if I'm free. I'll just provide you the update over on the WhatsApp. If I'm not going to provide you, you can ask me the question at the starting of your class. So I can let you know. I can let you know that. Okay. Yeah. That's all for today, and we'll meet you tomorrow again, and we'll continue our session. Thank you. Thank you all.